I was a little disappointed that the shipping was over $100, but it is what it is. This is the stand. It looks cheap, but it actually works pretty well, and it fits in the bag really nicely. It's really weird that the hatch cover or the cockpit cover was inside the hole, but it was, and it seemed okay. I looked inside to see if I could find anything wrong, and I couldn't observe anything wrong, but as you'll see later in the video, indeed the sail winch servo was not properly installed, and I had to take this all apart. This little special connector with a shorting stub is for binding the receiver to the transmitter. Some receivers need that, some have a special button to make that function happen. This is the world's cheapest radio. I never did use it other than to power it up and make sure everything worked. I would recommend everybody switching to something better. For $50 you can get a much better transmitter and a receiver that does telemetry, so you can see what the voltage is on the boat while it's in the water. This one wouldn't do any of that. This post is for the top of the mast. This is the boom with speed clips on it. This is the bottom of the mast. And this is the keel with the lead bulb weight at the bottom. Really impressive piece of engineering. They did a great job on this keel. Here is the rudder. It just snaps into the bottom of the boat. I wonder why instructions are always in the bottom of the box instead of on the top. This is the B sail, the standard sail that comes with lasers. If you want to fly in lighter winds, you should get an A sail, which requires a different mast configuration. And if you have heavy winds, of course, you want the C or the B sail. Personally, I think a B sail is all anybody ever needs, but if you're in competition, you probably want all four. I can say from experience at our lake, we usually have very light winds, and the guys with the A sails can pass me up pretty quick. They can get a lot more acceleration with the bigger sail than my standard B sail. When you put the two mast halves together, it's a terribly loose fit. Later I'll fix that with some beeswax, a trick we learned in model airplanes to keep our wings on wing rods. The sharp end at the top of the mast could actually damage the mylar sail if you were inserting it like this outside on a windy day and the sail is flapping around. For that reason, I installed a screw protector, which you'll see later in the video. Wow, too loose for me. I'll fix that later with some black electrical tape. Another fitting that's too loose for me. Again, I'll fix that later with black electrical tape so that the mast snugly fits into the hull and the boom snugly fits into the mast. On the forums on the internet, you'll see cases where lasers have been bumped in the rear, snapped in rubber has fallen out, and they've lost it. So a lot of people install some sort of safety interference up on the front so that they can install a latch pin. This is the size latch pin I used. I think I got them at Harbor Freight. They were 0.042 by 1 inch. Cost 95 cents, plus tax. I wrapped electrician's tape around the mast and the boom so that they were a snug fit. I ordered 2 extra of these speed clips from intensitysales.com. They were about $2.50 each plus tax. I couldn't find a cheap alternative that actually fit well. I put those 2 extra speed clips at the front of the boom to hold down the front of the mast, which is called a downhaul or sometimes a Cunningham. It's probably not necessary, but I watched a lot of YouTube videos of laser sailboats, model sailboats racing, and a lot of the guys in Europe seem to want downhauls or Cunninghams on their boats. It seems to deform the sail a little bit. I'm not sure whether it does it in a good way or a bad way, but I like the security of pulling down the mast a little bit in the front. Our club is pretty informal, so instead of registered number, which almost everybody gets, I just created the letter K from black electrician's tape. I used a screw protector or a thread protector so that I don't rip the mylar sail with the sharp edges from the top of the mast. Here's the numbers for the screw protectors that I used. I didn't like the loose fit between the 2 mast halves, and also I found that when you pull the mast out of the sail, sometimes it would separate and leave the top half of the mast in the sail and only the bottom half would come out. So to fix that, I applied a little beeswax to the joint between the top and the bottom half of the mast. This is a trick we learned in model airplanes when we had wings that plugged into the airplane on the side on wing rods. We would use beeswax so that they wouldn't come separated from the airplane, which I have had happen too. I've seen way too many guys have battery problems when sailing. The free battery pack that you get with it, the batteries can come loose, the terminals can become corroded, they can bang around inside the cockpit. I put this type of battery pack in my laser and charge it up inside the boat. The first time I sailed the laser, I had water in the hull, a little more than I expected. I found out that the sail winch servo was not properly installed. Here you can see it's a little offset when you took the pulley off. So I took this hatch apart so that I could get at it. There's two little levers with a cam-like arrangement that try to hold the winch servo in place, and the little nubs on the end are really just too short. They just barely reach it. In my case, one side wasn't reaching it at all, and the servo had turned crooked and allowed water to enter the hull. The guys here swear by these rubber band cockpit seals, so I put one on also, but they seem to get too loose after a season or two, even shorter in the Phoenix area, so I ordered a whole bunch of them from Amazon. Instead of paying $1 a piece at intensitysales.com, I got a whole bunch of them for $4.71 or something like that, and I share them with the rest of the club. The optional sail bag to hold the laser is worth its weight in gold. Almost everyone in our club that has a laser has the sail bag. That way you can take everything you need to the lake with one trip. Well, there are perhaps some exceptions, but prior to this, I had a boat that my wife and I would take 2 trips to the lake with both of us with our arms full. This sail bag is really well made. About the only thing I don't like about it is that the clever labeling on one side where you can put your sail and your name is upside down. It should be on the other side of the bag because you have to open it this way, so the lettering and the name and Intensity Sales that's lettering on the bag would be upside down in the dirt all the time, because you really can't do this bag upside down. You have to have it this side up. I keep a towel in mine all the time near where you're supposed to keep the transmitter. This is the stain. The mast and boom are held on with one little Velcro loop. The hull is in the bag upside down with this long Velcro strip holding it in place. It needs to be upside down to have the rudder properly clear the back of the bag. This Velcro flap keeps the keel and the rudder held in the bag securely. There's the keel pulled out. Here comes the rudder. I keep the little safety latch on the rudder in the bag. Snaps in very firmly, which is good and bad. It snaps in so firmly that some people have actually forgotten to snap this little catch on the top that securely keeps it in place. There have been a few keels that have sunk to the bottom of lakes because they thought the keel was installed all the way and it was not fastened properly. The two halves of the mast stay firmly together because of the beeswax that I added. The bee sail fits in the bag quite nicely. You have to push it up underneath the back part to slide it all the way in. I like to keep it this way with the telltales on the forward side so that I can be sure that it don't get caught in a zipper or all messed up. When you put the mast in, you always want the winch line on the starboard side of the post and the 2 nylon lines on each side of the mast post. Here I'm trying to install the line to the downhaul or Cunningham. Again, it's probably not necessary, but I like the idea of having this on the front of the mast. That way you can be sure that no matter what the wind does, it can't separate the 2 mast halves and rip up your sail, because you're pulling down from the top of the mast down to the front of the mast boom. The back clip on the mast should be about an inch away from the end of the mast, and as you pull it tight here, the harder you pull it, the more you bend the mast, and experts will tell you to make it tighter or looser depending on whether it's strong winds or light winds. I usually just keep it medium tight. This is a Radiomaster TX16X transmitter, probably way better transmitter than is actually necessary for the boat. But if you're into computers and technological marvels, this is a fascinating transmitter. What I like is a really bright screen, and it speaks loudly, and the telemetry coming back is pretty nice. The transmitter is showing the voltage coming back from the boat as well as the voltage of the transmitter. If either one gets low, it warns you. You can set the endpoints, you can reverse everything, you can couple things to do mixes, more than most people would ever want to do on a simple 2-channel sailboat.
Telemetry lost.
As I turned off the boat there, I got a warning on my transmitter that it lost telemetry. The same thing would happen if you were sailing too far away, or if your antennas weren't positioned properly, or something like that. Or, of course, if your battery got low, you would lose telemetry. But you would also usually get a battery warning even before that. So now we start disassembly of the boat. The sail is the first thing that goes back into the bag when you're repacking it. I keep the mast end up towards the top. It's easier to push up, and that leaves the telltales at the bottom. And you have to be careful here that you don't get them caught in the zipper, which I have done, unfortunately. Next comes the 2 mast halves and the boom. Again, they just go to the back of the bag underneath the little Velcro loop. Then the rudder, it snaps off quite easily, which is why people put safety pins in there to stop it, in case you get bumped in the back of the boat. Here I just put the little clip on the rudder and stow it in the bag. As long as I'm careful putting it in the bag, it's never came loose, I've never lost it. The keel is next. Just turn the safety latch and pop it out. It goes in the bag right next to the rudder and the safety latch on the rudder, and then the big flap holds both of those in place. Then I align the 2 Velcro strips to put the hull in place. The hull goes in upside down. That's necessary in order for the rudder to clear the little hole in the back of the bag so it can be secured properly. Fasten with the Velcro strip. Here's a picture of the rudder sticking out of the back of the bag when the hull is in upside down as it should be and is installed properly. This bag is for your transmitter. I keep my transmitter in a special styrofoam box, so I don't use this bag at all. But a lot of guys do, and that's of course the advantage of this bag is that you can carry just about everything in one bag. The stand would normally be the last thing you put in your bag. It would fit around where you mounted your transmitter. In my case, I stick a towel in there, which is darn handy, and then zip everything up and take it home. Here's the custom foam box that my radio stays in. I also keep the neck strap and extra rubber bands for the cockpit seal for myself and my shipmates while we're at the lake. I tried decorating the hull with electrical tape. Looked good, but after the first sail it started coming loose right away. Then I tried a different color tape. In fact, it's on the boat that you're seeing right now, and it looked good for a sail or two, and then it started coming loose also. So now I'm down to just sailing it in its standard white color. Please subscribe and tell your friends about this YouTube channel. And here's a shameless plug for my book. It's available on all of the normal ebook sellers and also hard copies on lulu.com. As always, I really appreciate all you guys coming to watch these videos. Thank you. Bye.